Visual, a word that you have definitely heard if you're a K-pop fan. The industry and fans alike are obsessed with visuals, whether it be music videos, choreographies, styling, and of course, idols themselves. Beauty is one of the most important aspects of K-pop. One could even say that it's more important than the actual music. Visuals can make or break a K-pop group. For majority of groups and idols, visuals are the fine line between stardom and nugudom, and they know this, which is why in today's video we will be taking a look at the importance of visuals in the K-pop industry. The visual is an official position within K-pop groups. This position is given to the group member that fits the beauty standard the most. For women, the beauty standard includes small heads, straight eyebrows, small pointy nose, V-shaped jaw, plump and heart-shaped lips, pale skin, big eyes with double eyelids, slim body with hourglass shape, height of 1.65 meters or higher, and golden body proportions. For men, the beauty standard is quite similar. Slim but muscular body, prominent shoulders, triangle body shape, golden body proportions, small waist, V-shaped jaw, double eyelids, plump lips, straight nose, fair skin, and height of 1.8 meters or taller. While in theory the visual has existed since the first generation of K-pop, it wasn't until K-pop companies saw the success of Yuna from Girls' Generation that it became an official position. For those who don't know, when Girls' Generation debuted, Yuna, their visual, was the most popular member of the group. Immediately after debut, she received promotional deals from multiple brands, which made her and the group more popular. Eventually, she was casted in the popular show You Are My Destiny, which started off her acting career and helped her and the group become the big stars that they are today. Thanks to this, companies realized that having one member that can be found attracted by the majority of the public can be an amazing way to promote the group and reach even higher levels of popularity, especially if the group comes from a small or unknown company and group. The visual is not necessarily the most beautiful member, since beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and they might not even become the standout or most popular member of the group, but even then, they are still incredibly important to the popularity and success of them. As much as I would like to deny it, I would even go as far to say that the visual is a position just as important as main vocalist, dancer, or rapper. Unsurprisingly, the obsession and constant discussion of visuals, who fits them, who doesn't, and who are the most beautiful, are concentrated in women and girls of K-pop. Sure, people also talk and praise male idols, but it's very rare or just non-existent that you will see a post on social media with hundreds of comments having in-depth reviews of every facial feature in a male idol's face in the way that you see with female idols. Whether we like it or not, it's undoubtable that the visual are very important to K-pop groups. As much as we wish that the world was a meritocracy where success was purely based on talent and knowledge, we know that that is not true. And while it's definitely unfair, I don't blame people, especially women, for using this to their advantage, whether it be Instagram models or K-pop companies. I do think, however, that it is important to discuss how taking advantage of pretty privilege for personal gain can be both beneficial and detrimental for others and oneself. Pretty privilege is the notion that people who fit the beauty standard, both at large and within their cultures or communities, get preferential treatment from them. In the last decade or so, with the growth and interest in body positivity, the topic of pretty privilege, especially in regards to women, has become more and more popular. However, in the last couple of years, there has been some pushback against the notion that being pretty makes your life 100% better, especially if you're a woman. Which, side note, that's not what privilege is. Privilege does not mean that your life is a 100% better and you never have any struggles coming directly out of the privilege. It just means that on average, you have it easier than others living in society. Like I mentioned earlier, using the privilege for your personal gain is understandable, and it could have both positive and negative effects on you and on society as a whole. So let's take a look at some of this. Note that these things in K-pop aren't only beneficial or detrimental to the idols that hold the official visual position, but also to other idols that are considered to be outstandingly beautiful. This is one of the most obvious pros of being a visual. We all like to look at pretty things and pretty people, so if you are pretty, you're going to get more things than others. More attention, more opportunities, and more chances to succeed, not only from the public but also from your company. It's important to point out that visuals, especially the ones that fit the most standards, aren't seen as simply pretty, but as outstandingly beautiful. La creme de la creme, some of the most beautiful people in society, which is a bit different than just simply being pretty. Visuals are most likely to get opportunities such as commercial work, center time during music videos and choreographies, more lines in songs, better styling, opportunities in the fashion and acting industry, etc., etc. Visual members have more opportunities to not only further their careers, but also give it a longer shelf life than the rest of the members in a group, especially those that aren't main singers or dancers. On top of getting more opportunities to succeed, these idols and attractive people in general also get more opportunities to fail. They get more space for growth and betterment because there is always going to be a company that wants to use their looks for publicity, and thus they get more room for improvement. Likewise, they also get more opportunities to not improve and to not get better because, again, there will always be a company willing to look past lack of talent in order to cash in on the publicity that will come from a pretty face. The downside of getting so much is that it brings a lot of hate. These idols are accused of being favored by their companies and are perceived as a threat to the careers of the other members of the group. This leads to people being overly critical of everything that they do and nitpicking every performance that they have in order to argue that other members of the group deserved it more. Because the goal of the visual is to bring attention to a group thanks to their beauty, it is not expected that these idols will be outstandingly talented. People overall have lower expectations of them, and while this can be a con, it is also a pro, since these idols don't have to put in the same effort and work as the other members of the group because no one expects them to. On top of that, because of these low expectations, fans tend to overhype them and their skill levels, saying that they are much more higher than they really are, and using one of my favorite K-pop phrases, they would be main blank if they were in another group, which is a drag as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, the low expectation leads to overpraise of average or below average skill levels, which, tied with the previous point, give this idol a much wider space to become better or remain at the same level if they choose to, since there is no expectation from them to be better than they are at debut. Following this, because people believe the visuals aren't added to their groups because of their talents, but because of their looks, there is this narrative that they are all talentless, dead weight for their group. When it comes to skills, they're normally ranked last in every category, even if it's unfair, and you can even see fans calling for them to leave the groups or be kicked out. Because people have low expectations, even when they do get better with their skills, people will continue to downplay them and hold onto their worst performances without hearing reason or looking at their improvement over the years. Haters do not give these idols the same space for growth that they give other idols and constantly dismiss their talents. K-pop female idols have had an age cutoff of 25 for the majority of K-pop history. Once they hit this age, they become too old and are expected to move on to other areas of entertainment like acting or become TV personalities. This is especially true for visual idols. We know the society is obsessed with youth, especially when it comes to women, and that the media has an obsession with the idea of female performance not aging, putting that pressure not only on the performer but also on regular women while completely ignoring why it is that rich women can slow down the aging process. After idols pass a certain age, normally 25, there is this uptick of comments and articles about how these idols aren't aging or shocked that they don't look like Betty Davis or whatever happened to Baby Jane. And fans start doing something that I hate, where they call 25-year-old women MILFs. This ageism doesn't only put a pressure on women who are still incredibly young to make themselves even younger, it also brings haste to these idols for being too old for K-pop and stealing the spot of younger idols, which is how we end up getting 14-year-olds debuting. Like I mentioned earlier, idols who fit into the visual category are supposed to be liked by the majority of people, men and women alike. And this sometimes involves making the idols behave, dress, dance, or sing in a sexual manner for the opposite sex to find desirable. Normally, I would have no issue with this if it wasn't for two reasons. The first reason is the majority of idols do not have a say when it comes to their concepts. They don't write or choose the songs that they sing, they don't choreograph, they don't style themselves, and they don't direct. They are given instructions and their only choice is to follow them. I would even go as far as to say the majority of idols don't even have the opportunity to voice their opinion without fear of retaliation from their company. And this is why I have always taken this type of concepts with a grain of salt. The second reason why is because of minors. Yes, since the second generation, K-pop has been debuting idols who are underage, but it's undoubtable that the number of minors per group that are debuting every year has just gone up since 2016. And these minors who happen to have the position of visual within their group are not above being sexualized by their company. That's how we get Chewy dancing seductively on an elevator, or Wonyoung dancing side to side at 13, or New Jeans singing about wanting their fans to look at their cookie. Idols' body shape and weight is probably the part of them that netizens pay the most attention to. Every weight gain and loss, no matter how minuscule, is looked and analyzed with intense scrutiny. Some examples of skinny shaming are Lisa and Rose from Blackpink. Both members have been very skinny all of their lives. All of the members of the group have spoken about how these two don't go on diets and actually have to eat more than normal in order to not lose too much weight. And one could argue that they, especially Lisa, have actually gained some weight with the pass of time thanks to muscle gain. But still, people are obsessed with them being too skinny and having some kind of eating disorder. On the other side of the coin, we have Liz from IVE and Jiwoo from NMIXX. Both of these girls are a perfectly normal weight for girls their age, but because they have thick thighs and fat cheeks, people are constantly discussing how fat they are and compare them to their group members who are skinnier than them. Because of this pressure to be a certain weight, it is also not abnormal to see idols drop dramatic amount of weight in a few months or in a few years in order to not only keep their position as an attractive idol, but also to be considered even more attractive. An example of this is Ryujin from ITZY, who lost a lot of weight from wannabe era in 2020 until sneakers era in 2022 and gained a lot of attention for it, or Wonyoung, who has been systematically losing weight with every comeback since ICE1's debut and has only gotten skinnier since debuting with IVE. I'm not saying that either of these girls have or haven't used unhealthy means to lose weight, but just that their weight loss has been quite dramatic. Nowadays, it's not very common for idols to talk about their diets in depth or at all. They either don't talk about it or promote a healthy eating image for themselves. But in the past, it was very common for idols to talk about unhealthy diets openly. For example, the IU diet, which consists of eating an apple for breakfast, a sweet potato for lunch, and a protein shake for dinner. Or Momo from Twice talking about eating ice for a week in order to lose 7 kilos. Or Xiumin from EXO talking about only drinking coffee without sugar or cream in order to lose weight. The most worrisome part of this is how these types of diets and unhealthy weight loss are celebrated and defended by netizens. It's even worse when netizens acknowledge that these diets aren't good but still celebrate the way that these idols look. This is obviously not only harmful for the idols themselves, but also for fans who might try these diets or use these dramatic weight losses as inspiration or thinspo. Plastic surgery has become more and more popular and accessible since the 1990s. According to the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons, as of 2021, Korea is the country with the most plastic surgery, mainly liposuctions, nose job, and double eyelid surgery. Because of how strict the beauty standard is, there is a pressure for idols to go under the knife, both for trainees and debuted idols alike. It's important to keep in mind the fact that these idols get younger and younger. This means that 14 to 18-year-olds are going under the knife way before their features are truly developed, something that could cause issue as they continue to grow. Trainees who are incredibly talented can feel pressure to go under the knife in order to maximize their debut possibilities, and already debuted idols can do so in order to try and stop the hate that they get from netizens. However, it is not that simple, because even though plastic surgery is incredibly common and netizens bully and harass ugly idols to try and force them to become pretty, people do not like the idea of plastic surgery. In a society that is so obsessed with meritocracy and people getting what they deserve, the idea that you can just go to the plastic surgery and get all of the benefits that come with being attractive while others can't is not one that is going to fly. These people don't deserve to get pretty privilege. They weren't born pretty. They bought their attractiveness, and thus they deserve to get even more hate than they did before. Another issue that arises from plastic surgery is the addiction to it. This is a real behavioral disorder in which people become obsessed with constantly changing their appearances, never feeling that they look good enough and that they could look better. It's also important to note that plastic surgery is dangerous. I know that that is probably obvious for most of you, but in the last decade, plastic surgery has been promoted as something simple that you could do on a Wednesday morning and then go and have lunch with your friends on a Wednesday afternoon. These procedures require a long healing time in order to heal properly and without issue. And I would not be surprised if idols who go under the knife at 9 times out of 10 not waiting long enough before going back to work. HYBE is known for having their idols get the same nose job, and SM Entertainment is known for cloning their idols. This type of things have been normalized by the K-pop community, and as their idols become younger and younger, especially for HYBE, who has debuted 14-year-olds in the last 2 years, this become more and more dangerous. The last thing that I want to talk about in regards to plastic surgery and other cosmetic procedures is that we don't know what impact they are going to have on the human body in 30 years from now. This is mainly in regards to fillers, which only came into prominence in recent years, as well as other major surgeries that underage idols might have gotten before they were fully developed. As mentioned earlier, visuals can be very beneficial for the overall growth and popularity of a group, since their presence in advertisement and TV shows might incentivize people to listen to the group, especially if they are accompanied by other members. However, it seems that most small companies are completely incapable of turning an idol's individual fame and turn it into a group's popularity. Two examples that I can think of are Doyeon of Wikimiki and Chaeyeon of Daya. Both members became very popular for their visuals, where they were on Produce 101 and IOI. And because of this, when they went back to their companies and redebuted, their companies focused all of their attention on them and no attention on other members, meaning that their individual popularity just kept growing while the other members of the group were completely unknown to the public. The only company that I can think of that turned a visual's popularity into group's popularity was AOA's company with Sohyun. During the second generation, she was incredibly popular and her ads went viral a couple of times. And her company used this not only to help grow her profile, but also the profile of the members of the group and the group as a whole. Because of how important it is for an idol's individual popularity as well as the group's popularity that the members are beautiful, companies figured, why only have one visual if you could have a group of visuals and maximize your profit? Some groups that have been praised for having only beautiful members are Girls' Generation, Twice, IVE, LE SSERAFIM, STAYC, NewJeans, aespa, Blackpink, and TXT. I'm sure that there are others, but these are the first ones that come to mind. With this type of group archetype being made, I wonder how many trainees won't get to debut because they aren't the most beautiful. Say whatever you want, but at least before, idols that weren't considered attractive but were very talented could still debut because there was a visual already. But when every member has to be a visual, a lot of talented people will be left in the cutting room. This also means that there will be even more pressure to go under the knife and get plastic surgery. And as idols become younger and younger, that means more minors getting plastic surgery before their features are fully developed. I wanted to add this part in the video because I wanted to talk about the way that people have been treating Wonyoung from IVE and Yuna from ITZY in the last couple of months. Both girls are the visuals of their groups, and both have suffered an unimaginable amount of hate for basically the same reasons. People claim that they have a bad attitude, that they are narcissists who only care about looks, and that they are pygmies who crave male validation. There are multiple reasons why they have been receiving hate, but I would say that the two things that made everything explode were the video of Yuna singing Love Dive and the video of Wonyoung throwing a ball at a baseball game and eating a strawberry with both hands. What I want to say is that even if these things were true, even if they were shallow and only care about their looks, and even if they were pygmies, at the end of the day, these two girls are a product of their environment. By this, I mean that these are two very young girls, both are 18, they aren't even considered adults in Korea yet, who debuted at a very young age, 14 for Wonyoung and 15 for Yuna. And they have been told since then, and even before that the most important and likable thing about them is the way that they look. Both of these girls constantly go viral for their looks, for better or for worse. That is the thing that people seem to care the most about them. Not how talented they are or how nice they are, but how beautiful they are. How and why would it be surprising if they did only care about how they look and people finding them attractive? They have been told that that is the most important part about them, and thus that is the part that they are going to pay the most attention to. The only thing that we can hope for both of them and other girls in their position is that one day they and everybody else can see that they are much more than a pretty face and that they deserve to be treated as such. I personally don't mind the visual position. I understand why it is important and why it matters. But I think that it is important and necessary that these conversations keep happening because in the long run, they don't only help those of us who are average or even considered ugly, but also those who are considered attractive. If we live in a world where people who look like this and this and this are constantly being criticized for not being pretty enough and looking for ways to look better, then what the hell is going to happen to us who don't look like that? I don't blame people for trying to fit into the beauty standard. At the end of the day, we all want to be desired. That's why the body positivity movement exists in the first place. But it is necessary for people who have pretty privilege over others, especially women, to realize that that privilege is causing them the same body issues as the rest of us. Only then will things get better. Well, that was all for today's video. Let me know what you think of this topic. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!